And we're live.
All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Den. I am joined here by Tyler Tebow. I, of course, am Michelangelo, the Defiant Lion. So we're just gonna have a general conversation. I'm trying to get back into the swing of these YouTube things. I haven't done an actual broadcast in probably a good month because, as you know, Google Hangouts went off the air, and we are being brought to you by StreamYard right now, and I want to give them a shout out, even though they are not paying me to say anything right now, but they are nice enough to have this system for us to jump onto since Google has disappointed us. So thank you very much, StreamYard, for letting us come in and do this for free. And fuck you, Google.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a poor decision. I don't know what drove them to want to get rid of the Hangouts, but
I don't know either. Like, the Hangouts was pretty good. The thing that I really liked about the Hangouts because it had the voice pickup, so it would kind of pick up who was talking and then go to that person on full screen. Whereas,
yeah, for sure, I like that too. It felt natural. So.
Right, the split screen I like because it's still better than having the little tiny menus. Like I can switch things up a little bit. Like all right, let me try and show you the different.
Yeah,
I can make you a little smaller. Oh, let me just go back to the regular one. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video. There's been a lot going on in the world. Obviously, crazy amounts of mass shooting. Amazon rainforest is on fire yet again. I guess that's news because it's at bigger rate than usual, but it still catches fire about every 2 weeks anyways, right?
Yeah, some bit of it. You mentioned shooting. I actually saw just a little while ago. I think there was a shooting in Texas in Odessa area.
Oh yeah. I kind of
that just happened, I think.
Yeah, but I saw someone mentioning it because someone in one of my group chats was nearby it, and I guess his family was 100 yards from where it happened. So it sucks. It sucks when that comes close to home, and I would really like to do a full out gun talk and that whole thing talk on one of my shows. Maybe we can go into a little bit today, but I wanted to more bring it into the whole left versus right paradigm that we see. The Bernie versus Trump, or the Democrats versus Trump, and the ideas of socialism versus fascism. Of course, the Antifa thing is becoming a big deal. They're counter protesting against constitutional conservatives, calling them Nazis, and saying they're opposing fascists, and they actually I guess showed up at the straight pride parade today, which I guess was today. It was actually in my hometown of Boston, but I did not go. I actually forgot about it. I was gonna go, but then the day of it happens, like, oh shit, See,
I thought it happened a long time ago. I didn't realize it. I guess it was like a big talking point when they were planning it. So I just assumed it happened already. I wasn't aware.
I mean, it was a complete troll event. Let's be honest. But I mean, I was definitely gonna go to maybe do live feeds and capture what was going on. Because it's not every day.
Like a journalist type perspective from it. That's why I would go to an event like that for sure.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I mean, what's wrong with being straight to be proud to be straight to be proud.
Straight to be proud.
And it's that's what it really comes down to. This is a troll event, but it's a troll event for that very reason, for people to react to and say this isn't cool, and it's well, what, why isn't it exactly
exactly
why everything has to be.
I've noticed it's not and not even maybe a like from a political perspective, but whenever someone's like feels super strongly about something and it's obvious that it's kind of nonsensical, if you really just like calmly be like, well, why? Like explain the logic behind your behaviors and your sentiments. And a lot of the times that alone can just make them be like, well, and they can't give a direct answer because like a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense. Like, why is it not okay for straight pride? And you can see that any answer that they might have formulated or that they picked up from any kind of news source, a lot of times it's just like emotionally charged garbage. And if they don't see it, others that are paying attention to what they're saying, a lot of times can be like, that's all you have to do a lot of times, and definitely from my perspective, it's a lot of leftists. If you ask them, it's like, well, why do you feel that way? Or why does it have to be the way you say it is? You just let them talk, and it just ruins their point for them. So,
oh, I love that. That's what I do with Marshy a lot. But that's a story for another day. Maybe we'll have him on the show sometime. But yeah, and I think the important thing to remember, and you kind of touch on it a little bit, where it's like, I think there's a lot of extremists on both sides, and in between there's just the normal people kind of like looking at everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
they're the real judges of the situation.
Right.
So it's kind of like, what's a normal person that isn't super into politics thinks when they see all this stuff going on, whether it be the Antifa and the Proud Boys or the Antifa and the Straight Pride Parade.
Right.
And also you have the politician thing picking up the economic situation. Like I said, I wanted to get into a lot of the economics and just everything going on with it. Right now there's a lot of tariffs, and Trump made a tweet a little bit back saying he will order companies to get out of China and seek an alternative and bring American jobs home. So of course, when he said this, I brought it up to the community, and I'm like, well, isn't this what the left wants? They want American jobs. They want people to be paid well. Like, why is this a bad thing from a left perspective? Can the left actually praise Trump on this? And then it's like, oh, well, it's not the same. It's like, well, how isn't it? It's like you have a lot of leftists talking about government job creation and government guarantee of jobs, and what Trump is doing is kind of a step in that direction. So I'm like, why? Like, how aren't you happy?
Right.
I just want to say before we keep going, hello Elizabeth and hello Kako. We got some people talking in the chat, so I wanted to acknowledge them. And we also got the Hood Theologian. I'm not sure if he's still here. That's Eric, a very good guy. So I just like pose that question, like, why isn't this good for the left? This is exactly what you are harping on. Like,
well, a lot of it though is a lot of people are looking for an emotional victory over an actual like practical victory.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant like. It's a constant need to feel like emotionally validated by your support of your team, and whether or not things get better or worse is kind of irrelevant as long as you can point to how you're emotionally validated. That happens over and over and over again. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like Trump could do. I mean, there's a lot of things that like Trump fans are like upset about. Especially his like. His encroachment on like Second Amendment rights and stuff, and like you said, the left should be happy about it, but they're emotionally invested in the anti-Trump campaign, and we've seen this time and time again. It's just gotten so old, and it's like so overdone, but it's not really going to matter. It's not really going to matter, if their worldview is put forth by him or anybody that they don't view as an ally, because first and foremost, they've got a group think, and then secondly, it's an emotional validation from that group. that they're part of.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely all a group thing because I mean, this part on both sides. It's like you find these political factions where it's almost like a cult like following, and it's like even on my own side on the libertarian end, like I kind of see that, even in that side, and it's just like that's why I kind of, I kind of skate away. Like I'm a libertarian, but I'm not like, fully into like the whole like a lot of the libertarians are like cult anarchists, and I'm just like,
right.
Right.
Well, and see, and here's the main thing, and then you can look at it in the economical sense, or like the political sense, or the sociological sense. To me, it seems that the real divide is between like collectivism and individualism, and you have one side, regardless of political like affiliation, that believes that society as a whole should work in a way that allows the individual to be expressed, and that's more of like your collective side. So they think like all rights, all good things must come through the collective first, and then be expressed onto the populace, so individuals can arise from that. And the other side is looking at it more of like individuals should express society. And so it's more that rights come from more of your natural existence as being a human being, come from discovering yourself and fitting in to the world in the way that is most true to yourself, which creates and expresses society. And I've said it before, a lot of times you find like the intellectuals or like the people that like to think they're very smart, they tend toward more of a collective ideology because they like to be able to have the answers. And so when you look at like communism or socialism, it's like, yes, I have the answer. My politician that I love has the answer, and we can fix the system if we do as I say, and we're morally obligated to. Whereas more of your individualist realizes that the web of interactions between people is so complicated that no one's going to have the answer. We can just be our true selves, try to bring as much light and good into the world, and be responsible for ourselves and being authentic. And no one's going to have the answers as a person, because it's too complicated to have an answer.
Well,
and
we got
the collectivists and intellectuals really hate that. They really hate that because they don't want to sit here and admit I don't have the answer. Because
right, we got
their
Scott,
ego.
We got Scott in here. I'm gonna bring him in.
Okay.
How we doing, Scott?
Oh.
He's like, oh shit, I'm here.
Hey, Scott.
So yeah,
Scott the black guy.
Yeah, so I wanted to say,
my bad, I had the volume off.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey.
Long time no talk.
So, let's see. Tyler, you don't think there's collectivism in the right?
Oh no, of course there is. That's why I started with like, regardless of political affiliation, the true divide I'm seeing is people that it's the collectivist versus the individualist. Yeah, oh, definitely, definitely. And you can see it.
Sure.
You can see it obviously through like through your like your racial supremacist and your hardcore like socially conservative. Yeah. So there's definitely collectivism in the right, and it's at the very least detrimental as it being on the left.
Yeah, and before I got kicked off for a second there, I wanted to read off and address this comment by Kakarot here. It says, I think it's because Trump does a lot of BS and extreme right agendas and wants to sprinkle a little left ideas to ease up the neglects he had done for lefties. You know what, like, I'm gonna say this right off the bat, like, my opinion of Trump is he still is and always was a Democrat. Now, if you want to argue the Democrats are a little right wing, okay. He has mainly protectionist policies. He believes in eminent domain. He's actually, done more against the Second Amendment than Obama ever did. So, I'm not sure exactly what his right-wing agendas are, but I'm not really seeing him too much.
Yeah, you were kind of cutting in and out there. I guess probably due to my connection, but I think I got the gist of it, and I agree. He's definitely not like a perfect like, conservative hero for the sense that he does have a lot of Democrat like entrenched ideologies that he lists for us. As far as addressing the comment that you read out, that's one way to look at it. That he's like uber, right leaning, and he tries to sprinkle in leftist policies. I've also heard it put that he has a way of connecting with the emotional energy of those on the right that feel like progressivism has left them behind, and after he connects with that emotional energy, he's able to be like, yeah, I understand how you're feeling. You feel that I understand how you're feeling, and we'll do something about it, but maybe we need to and run all the Mexicans out of the street. At the start, there were, even looking at Trump in a positive light, there were a lot of people that were just like super like, we need to deport them all. We need to deport every single one. To hell with any DACA recipient. To hell with all that. And so he connected to that. But then if you see, he actually kind of dialed it back and wanted to grant amnesty, and he wanted to provide a pathway to citizenship. And he was taking it reasonably. He was making steps to strengthen immigration security, but it appeased those on the right that were like super anti-immigrant, but enough where they were like, okay, well, somebody's doing something. Like at least I'm being listened to. So now I can kind of tone back, and he kind of like took control of that mentality and be like, hey, I'm listening to you. So you don't have to like, we don't have to go extreme and overboard. You just wanted to be listened to. And that's mainly what any kind of populist wants. They want to feel like their concerns are being addressed. Yeah. And so connecting with the emotional energy to get elected is a strong suit. That's how the political system works. And then being like, okay, let's take this reasonably. Let's make some changes, but let's be reasonable about how extreme we're going to be in addressing those far right, wishes, so to speak. And that's what I see.
I don't really think the far right even exists. I think it's. Well, I think the far left exists more than the far right, but I don't think either really exists.
Right.
But
well, I was using the term in the manner that would be commonly understood as.
Yeah. And this is kind of where I go back to it, where it's like I still feel that Trump is a Democrat, but it's just that the Democratic Party has gone so far left that even he seems like a right wing maniac. I'm trying to make a good comparison. It's like just say it's like you have like choice of Marx or like not Montesquieu. What's the guy I always get confused with Montesquieu? Like the original kind of like left wing Enlightenment thinker. Rousseau, thank you. And it's like you got a choice between Marx and Rousseau, and it's like, well, Rousseau seems pretty right wing in comparison to Marx,
Right, exactly. Yeah, but it's interesting. You hear the same thing from the left. Yeah. Oh well, there really is no far left. It's just the fact that our right is so far right that wanting to give people medical coverage is considered far left now.
All right.
Did I send you that shit?
We got Joshing coming. The stream is filling up, I guess. All right. Cool. Oh wow, we got like this nice little. I like this. I like the Foursquare right here.
Yeah.
The Foursquare, yeah, right.
How we doing, Josh?
What's going on, guys? I told you I'd be a little late, but yeah, I'm here.
Right.
Having some technical
difficulties.
Hey, Josh. Well, you're here, but you have none.
Yeah.
What happened, man?
I just started looking homeless. No, I'm like I actually usually have my head shaved, and I just like hadn't.
Oh, whoa! There it is.
My hair for like over a year, so I was like, I'm getting tired of dealing with my hair, so I look. This is how I typically look, actually.
Right.
I like how we've all got the beards going here today.
Yeah,
I know, right?
It's a good collection of beers.
Yeah. You're definitely in last place, though, Tyler.
Yeah.
Where are we at in conversation? I haven't. Let me get caught up.
We're talking about Trump, and like I'm basically saying he's still a Democrat, but with everything else being so far left, he seems way more far right than he is.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think a lot of people are like getting like super crazy, like I mean, okay, like I was looking for a specific tweet, and I took a stroll through AOC's Twitter. Holy shit, that's such a shit show. Like, they're like 80% of her tweets just was like, "This is white supremacy. White supremacy is to blame for this bad thing. This bad thing I don't like, so it must be because of white supremacy." And I was like, "You're just saying that, like you're not providing evidence of anything. You're just like throwing the word white supremacy out to like rally people who are insane." It was just like that's all it was. And then she was like retweeting Paul Krugman. And I'm like, could you just be any more stupid, lady? Like, that's that's the kind of like where people are at.
If I could just interrupt you for 1 second, Josh. Yeah. Just kind of carry the stream for a minute. I got to go check on this crying kid upstairs.
Okay. But I think like you have people like rallying behind AOC. Like taking that insane like super far left shit she's saying. I mean, like, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, it definitely makes Donald look pretty right wing from that viewpoint. I would definitely agree.
I was gonna say I have like 3% more battery, so you guys have probably got me for like another like 2 or 3 more minutes. But
alrighty.
I was making a point earlier that I really do think we have more of like a like the divide is more of like a collectivist versus individualist, at least in the sense of like what the function of society is compared to what the function of the individual is, or what the responsibility of those things are. And I'm curious if you guys, after I leave, would continue that kind of thinking and apply it to an economical sense. Because economics is not my strong suit. I think it can apply in a way like, as far as like your different economical approaches to the market, and those, thinking group is responsible or individual is responsible is kind of what it boils down to, for me at least, for what I'm seeing.
Yeah, but and that's really the whole gist of it, because like you're not going to care when it's a collective. Like I think any human being who has ever done an activity with a group of people will be able to tell you that. Like if you've ever roomed with a bunch of friends, like it's just like not going to work out. Like and you end up moving out yourself. Like fuck it, I'm getting a studio apartment. Like at least I can keep all my shit all fucking settled.
Yeah, and you kind of see like, and that's why I think that's why a lot of the times like your capitalists will get more attacked on like the idea that they're not empathetic. And there might be some truth to that, because you have a lot of people that for whatever reason understand that at the end of the day they're the ones that are most responsible for their own well-being and their own success, that others can't be relied on 100% to fulfill your own personal need. You have to and so there's a little bit of jadedness in that. There's a little bit of maturity in that. But like, I mean, like kind of the rap group calls that, riding one deep. You don't trust nobody but yourself. Number one.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you can also look at how we criticize the left as being you're not self-sufficient because you need somebody else to take care of you. And there's truth to that too. And with anything, there's a balance. We have to be strong enough to take care of ourselves, but vulnerable enough to rely on others, and like I said, I always go back to more of like a sociology, like sociology, or like a relationship or interaction people to people. But I think those same concepts can be applied, or at least underlined, why people gravitate towards certain economical systems.
Yeah, and
I don't think any of these things exist in a vacuum.
Right, and because we're talking about like the individual and collective, and I think one of the things I always hear from leftists is like, well, we're communal by nature, where we need to work together, and I don't even think the most individual anarchist is really arguing for a system where he's alone in a hut, like in the middle of a forest, away, like 50 miles away from everyone.
Exactly. We have to move away from that. We have to move away from viewing our political opponents as being like the most extreme examples that you can come up with, because no one's really like that. But
there's
I want to address a couple of these comments because we got a couple.
Yeah,
of
I was
comments
gonna say there's some good comments in the chat. You might want to.
Yeah.
I was reading through that.
So Liz says, Plink Flamingo says, referring to Tyler's comments regarding the right, I consider myself independent, yet I lean with the right and left ideals. I have a few close friends who are DACA, so I'm all for amnesty for them. I think immigration is definitely good for the economy. You obviously cannot have open borders where you can just let people run around. And then Goku said after that, if America would stop forcing Latin American countries to follow policies that benefit America by 90%, there'd be less immigration flow. I'm gonna have to half agree and half disagree with that sentiment because I think it's a multi. Ooh, I think we lost Tyler.
Yeah, he said his battery was dying.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yeah, you were off screen and he said that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of half agree and half disagree with that because I think that we definitely put a lot of unfair, and maybe not even unfair, but we definitely try and push our weight around in the Southern American countries. We definitely have not been friendly to a lot of the Southern American countries, Central American countries, and create a lot of turmoil there. But I also think, left to their own devices, a lot of those countries end up becoming socialist, and the skilled workers end up coming in. So
I think a lot of countries too, especially kind of on those smaller scale countries, they're short term socialism looks really appealing because short term you can really push out more of the benefits of socialism. It's kind of in the long term where it really starts to fall apart, and that's where short term if a government is kind of feeling they don't have any, they don't know what to do, and they're having all these problems, and that's an easy seems like an easy solution. It's very appealing, and then once you get kind of wrapped up into that, and then after a while everything starts falling apart because long term especially it just doesn't work. But I would say too to the sorry, I'm still reading some of the comments, but I do feel there is definitely some problem with us America, and it's not just the we do it all over the world too, and that's the problem is us kind of trying to push policies, push ideas, push different we're always constantly trying to influence the world in different ways, economically, politically, all over the place, and it never works out for anyone else. And in the long term, it doesn't even work out for us because look how many people in the world hate this country because of all this stuff we do.
Right.
Yeah, it's just I do think it's just there's a lot to unpack from that. I feel like it's I don't know. I'm thinking on it. And I'm yeah, I could probably. I don't want to, but I could probably really dive into that for a long time. But there's some more follow-ups coming up in the comments, which I think are good points being made.
Yeah. You got something to say on that, Scott? It looks like you're might be trying to get a word in.
No, I'm all right. Just.
Is it Pink Flamingo said something? Here's the question: what's the reason for the sanctions? Or what are the kind of why are we pushing for these things that are negatively impacting these countries?
Well, it's always for political leverage. You know what I mean? Because it's economics, affects everything. So it's kind of it doesn't really make much rational sense at all when you really think about it in a lot of terms. And I love this one line by Frederick Bastiat. It's if goods don't cross borders, soldiers will. So I think that speaks to a lot of it. Like, you know, tariffs, they may not be sanctioned, but they're in a way their own brand of sanction.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, I think they are technically sanctioned. I had to double check on that, but you know, obviously we're having like an economic war with China right now. Trump isn't too happy. Maybe it's because of the fact that they have a wall and we don't, and he's a little bit jealous. But
there was a real quick. I'm trying to think. I think it was Jimmy Carr. I think that comedian. You guys know him. He has that really weird. He has a really weird laugh. Like that's like one of his like. He's I like him though because he's kind of one of those like he makes fun of everybody. He hates people. Like gets annoyed at people getting offended. But something you said about the like Trump being jealous of their wall, and he was like, I went to China recently, and I have to say like walls really do work because while I was there, I didn't see one single Mexican the whole time. It's like that's pretty good. I like it.
That's funny. I mean, China's got their own problems right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to battle with Hong Kong, which is like pretty much like most of their production, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've been like, there was a clip I saw recently. Like a bunch of the Hong Kong protesters, they're like tearing down on like facial recognition towers and stuff like that. Like,
oh wow.
They're like pulling them down in the streets, like celebrating it and stuff. Like that, like you know, they're like. I mean, like, some of their economics are a little bit more capitalist now. There's not, like, you know, like some of the trade stuff. But they're still, like, communist to the core, like, as far as, like, how they treat their citizens and stuff, and, like, censorship and all that stuff. And people are definitely getting sick of it. Like, you can only keep people under your boot for so long. They're gonna fight back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trying to catch up with some of these comments. Panama country was created by America to create the Panama Canal going around the country it revolved from. In Mexico, Democrats had been rats to Mexico, like President Polk. Hong Kong is only going to make Buick #1 American brand. I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I would probably never buy a Buick. I don't care how cheap it is.
I actually, though, like, I specifically, like, my past few cars have been Toyota, and it's just because I have a particular brand I like, and I'm just stick with it. It's been useful for me. I do think, though, like, the funniest thing I've seen, it just reminds me of, there was this person who had a bumper sticker saying, like, you know, buy American on their car, and I was like, that's kind of nice, but maybe don't put that on your Honda. Like, it was on his Honda Accord. I'm like, I guess buy American,
right, yeah.
Honda. That's a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, you basically just go with what's cheap. Like, it says it right there where it's like, buy American on a Honda. It's like, so you really don't care about buying American. You're just like everyone else that wants to get, you know, the best, most efficient, cheapest thing.
Yeah, and like for me, it's not even like about price. Like I go with a Toyota because like every American car I've had is like been kind of shit.
Yeah.
And like Toyota.
Don't lie. You just drive because you hate America.
That's pretty much
not like me. I'm a Jeep driver because I love America.
No, I used to have a Jeep. I really loved it, but then I got totaled.
Yeah.
It was a nice Jeep.
But yeah, it's just like you know, all the auto jokes aside, you know, I think we have a real problem with the whole you know, economic sanctions, if you will, the tariffs going on, the trade war going on with China, and I think lost my train of thought of where I was going with that. You know, I think we might, and I think it's been being predicted that we're going to be hitting a recession because all these prices are gonna go up. Like, we're not seeing the effects of it yet, but we will when things start, going through the production line and like actually, hitting it where it matters. Like when they need the resources to, get obviously to make the new production. So we're gonna be feeling the effects of that very, very soon. So I hope Trump knows what the fuck he's doing and really has these guys by the balls, because otherwise he might fuck this whole shit up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but I mean, I don't know. Everything's just kind of all over the fucking place these days. Like, who knows what the hell's going to be happening?
Yeah. And Pink Flamingo Elizabeth, my lovely wife right there, not my wife, but pretty much, says Hong Kong is an economic powerhouse. It's one of the economic centers of the world, and she is absolutely correct. And like we were talking about before, like, China probably doesn't know what to fucking do. They got like all these fucking things going on with Trump, and they got Hong Kong up their fucking ass. Like, could we see the fall of the great empire?
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's a fair question to ask.
I think it's good. Like, it's a very, very fair question to ask, actually, because let's see, what it was. I'm gonna say 97. Was it 97 when they got Hong Kong back? So
I think so.
like
Yeah.
20 years now, about.
Yeah.
Just over 20 years. Like, they even had Hong Kong that long, and like Hong Kong's like sick of that shit. Yeah, I want to say 97. I might be wrong. If somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, it's interesting to me though. Like, so about like, roughly 20 years, give or take, that Hong Kong's been back to China from Britain. And like, look where it's at now. Like, people like they're like go look it up. I don't. You could just look up like Hong Kong protest. I'm sure you'll find it. But like, it was this video. Like, there's a group of people. They have masks on and stuff. It kind of looks like it looked like an Asian Antifa thing going on. But it was like, but these people were like actually doing something like what I would see as a positive thing, because there were these like big facial recognition towers, like all these cameras and stuff on, and they were like destroying the base and had all these like ropes and stuff, and they tore that shit down into the street, and like, were like like they were smashing the cameras and everything and like destroying this tower. They were going at it, and I was like, that's like something I see as citizens, like that's a good protest to me against like a government. But I find it interesting that like, I mean, in terms of like countries, 20 years is not a long time, and then, like, China's kind of already like pushing the people of Hong Kong like past their breaking point now.
I think they've been pushing their people to the breaking point for a long time, because I mean, when did they start regulating the birth rates and only allowing people, what is it, one kid per household?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say one. That actually, I mean, this is kind of a dark joke, but my wife was watching this sitcom, and it was like something like it follows this Korean family in America, but this guy was he was talking like at dinner, and then they were talking about all the stuff that was made in China, and he's like, yes, the only thing not made in China this day is babies. Like, yeah, that's fucked up, but I love it. But yeah, no, I just had to get that one in there. But like, it's interesting because China's been communist for so long now, and like they kind of held their citizens down. And that's what I'm bringing up the point about Hong Kong is like they get control of Hong Kong, and Hong Kong's like, no, not having it. Like they're fighting back so far. That's gonna spread into China though, like.
Oh yeah.
The rest of China, like mainland China, like that shit's gonna start spreading back. They're gonna see like, oh, we can fight back. Like we don't have to like, like.
And you know what? If I'm China, I think the thing that I'm worried about, also, is like, you got the Hong Kong thing, you got the Trump thing with the trade war, but then you got hungry ass fucking Russia right above you. I mean, I know most of it's all the way into Europe, but I mean, still, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Russia turns and pounces on with all the troubles that they're having, because they're actually booming right now. Like everyone laughed at what's his name for saying that Russia was a threat, and now all of a sudden it's like Russia is ruining our elections, and they're the biggest threat.
Like it's actually funny in retrospect how, like, scared a lot of people are of Russia now. Like people were laughing about it before, and now like so many of the left is like acting like Russia basically owns us.
Yeah. I mean, I think they could if they tried.
I think if they really wanted to, it wouldn't be that hard for them. I mean, if China really wanted to, like, they could just call in their debt, Like, I mean, like, we owe so much money as a country. Right. Like, there are countries, if they wanted to, could just overnight fucking ruin this country for good. Like,
yeah.
The only reason they're not going to is because they still need that trade. Like, there's still stuff they want, like, import stuff, like they still need trade, like, for their own economies. But if they really wanted to, like, I mean, if some country got crazy enough, like one of these bigger countries that we owe money to, like, they could ruin us easily just from the amount of debt that we've accumulated.
Well, the thing that, I mean, and I hate this because it is definitely like 90% responsible for all of our debt problems, and that's our military. But it kind of goes back to this joke where it's like, oh, like, why don't you you should buy a tank. It's like, well, I don't have the money to buy a tank. It's like, well, just take out a loan and buy a tank. It's like, yeah, but then how am I gonna pay it back? It's like, dude, you're gonna have a fucking tank.
Right. It looks like Elizabeth was just from the comment that caught my eye. She said, my dad was heavily involved with Hong Kong as a businessman. He always told me they will blow us out of the water someday. We're screwed. LOL.
I have no problem believing that.
I can't argue with that, honestly.
Her dad was a pretty big deal. He was very connected politically. Met a lot of people, and I'll just leave it at that without yakking on too much about it, because I don't want to, put her family business out there too much. But he definitely knows what he's talking about, but I also think that largely depends on Hong Kong. And what's the other there's like two provinces that, or I don't know if they're called provinces, that really produce like most of their output. So I think it really comes down to like those concentrated areas on how China really does.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, at this point though, I'm also wondering just what's gonna happen with Hong Kong, like, like, because there's so much like civil unrest there, all these protests and stuff. But I'm like, part of me is also like, is it gonna even stay under China? Like, how long are they gonna, like, is China gonna try to squash that down? Because like, part of me thinks like China is not gonna want to do anything crazy in Hong Kong because of how kind of economically strong they are. Like, they're not gonna want to, like, just go in and just start wiping things out. But they got to be careful there politically, as for their own, like, country's economics. It's a very interesting situation to see what's going to end up happening, because people in Hong Kong are pissed. They are pissed right now.
And some of the videos have just been amazing. Like,
oh yeah,
and like they don't have guns, and they're still fighting their way. Hint, hint. This is why we need guns.
Yeah.
Your weekly reminder.
Yeah, and Elizabeth said, Hong Kong
hey,
rules.
Mike.
Go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
Do you hear about that shit in Texas today?
Oh, the shooting? I roughly heard about it. I haven't gotten any details about it, no. Do you have any details on it?
It's insane. I don't know. Supposedly, some guy stole a mailbox and the cops shot him at the end. But earlier they were reporting on 2 different shooters with 2 different vehicles. Now it's just one. So.
Over mail?
No, he like shot the mailman, then stole his truck, supposedly, and then ran out and like shot like 20 people, 27 or 8 or something.
Holy shit.
I mean, I
You
don't
said
mean
this
to
was in
laugh at that because
Texas?
that's it's a sad situation whenever there's a shooting. But talk about going postal,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not the first one to say that.
right?
Just
Yeah,
saying.
Did you say that
and
was
that's just
Texas?
a
Did I
that's
hear
just a
or?
ridiculous one. Like a lot of them are pretty random and really done for no reason besides someone's screwed up in the head or is having a lot of problems and decides to do it. But just shoots a guy and steals a mail truck. Like, who the hell does that?
I
Obviously, this
don't
guy,
know.
but
But yeah, you see it all over calling for gun control again, of course.
No, of course.
oh, so we're gonna have a fun week in Thunderdome,
Oh
huh?
yeah.
Maybe Chris will unblock me to talk shit about guns.
Maybe. Like, I did fucking do like 5 different posts in one day in there. Time
Yeah,
to do some more.
that's definitely me. Like, I'll post a bunch of posts and then I'll just go live and start making fun of Marshall and oh, it's a good time. It's a great time.
Can you please not insult my members?
You know what? Like, I insult his members every day.
They
Not to
asked for it.
go too much into the group on video because I'm sure we have other people that don't care what goes on in the Thunderdome. He got
Yeah.
so mad because I was like, if you can't step up to the challenge and debate me, what makes you think you can overthrow capitalism and start a revolution and actually make real palpable change? And it must have fucking triggered the fuck out of him because he went off, blocked me on Twitter and everything.
Yes, right. I don't know if I'm blocked on that too then. Whatever.
Is that you commenting with sarcasm and liberty, Josh?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm on the sarcasm and liberty page commenting. Just yeah, no, from my comment, I actually there's a fictional story I'm still in progress working on, but I've been working on with a friend for years, and I had to do a ton of research into Chinese history, but also Hong Kong history, and because this story takes place in Hong Kong, and it takes place in the it doesn't exist now, but it takes place in the Kowloon area, but it's specifically in the whole the walled city of Kowloon, which if you don't know what it is, I suggest looking into it. It was this it started off as just a little military base hundreds of years ago, and then it kind of I had to learn a bunch about I had to do a ton of actual history studying because it was fictional history thing, kind of we were interweaving our own stuff into their history, but they just kept building up and up and up and up, and it ended up being this big city that was just this fortress, and you could walk on the you could see pictures of it when it was still up, and you could walk on this be walking down the streets in the city, and in the middle of the day, and it would just be dark because the walls and stuff, because instead of building out, they built up.
Right.
It's insane. Kowloon, walled city of Kowloon. That place was amazing. And it was actually, it's funny because it the whole story is about vampires, because we were that would be an awesome place for vampires to hide out.
Yeah.
But
so
I had to look into that history, and Hong Kong is an amazing place looking into all that stuff.
Go ahead, Scott.
Right, you gave up. You didn't finish it.
Oh no, it's a long progress thing. We were actually we have. It started off. It was going to be just a simple vampire story, but we have this huge mythology we're doing. We have
you got to put all the lore in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we actually we have this it looked we went to this comic convention, me and my friend, and we were staying in the hotel. And then that night we took all these note cards and stuff, and we on the wall we had, it looked like some crazy serial killer wall. We had this huge timeline from 1800 to 1990s, or whenever it was. I can't remember the exact date of when Calvin was actually the city was torn down, but I want to say walled city of Kowloon. It wasn't an actual wall. It was just this kind of like fortress, like military fortress, basically that turned into a city. It wasn't an actual wall, but it's interesting just the way the city was built. Like they just kept building upwards. But like if you ever look at pictures of it, but yeah, no, like we had this huge timeline that spanned like hundreds of years, and like we were interweaving all these different like like actual wars, like the Opium Wars, like all the way into modern day wars and stuff. It was just all kinds of crazy shit. It's this huge, long in progress thing. We have a bunch of scripts and stuff because it's actually going to be a comic book series. But
I just wanted to address a couple of these comments. First, Goku says walls work only in Civilization Revolution game.
Yeah.
And to him,
didn't know if that was in reference to me saying the walled city or not. I wasn't sure. So,
and I just want to say one thing to that. What would you know about what works in that game? Because I kick your ass every single time we play it. And Pink Flamingo Elizabeth says the Chinese people love American products. She taught English to Chinese students online. They always asked about her life and what kind of car she drove and etc. Yeah, and I think we always have an interest when we're like talking to other cultures because like I know a lot of people from different countries, and it's like it's so fun asking them like the little things that we don't really think about, like that would be fundamentally different in different parts of the world. Like stores and stuff like that.
For example, when I was overseas in Kuwait, like talking to like I talked to Kuwaiti people, some Egyptians, Palestinians, some Iraqis, all kind of people from all over the Middle East, and there was a significant interest in the cultural differences. For us with them, it was interesting to try to learn things, and for them vice versa. There's all these weird things, like just learning, because learning that when that was the first time I was 18 years old, and that was my first time in my life I ever had to deal with a language barrier. I'm
right.
Dealing with people, they don't even know what a thumbs up means, and you're just how do I communicate with this person at all?
Right. See, I live in the city, so I've always had a multitude of different languages.
Yeah.
But Elizabeth is right, where it's people as much as people hate America in a lot of ways, they love American capitalism. They love all the products that we bring out, whether it be the NFL clothes and whatever, and I think that kind of goes both ways, especially in the Asian culture. How many nerds are out there that are all into is Pokemon Japan or China?
Japan.
Oh, my bad. Nice racism to me.
That's fine.
But it's still Asian culture, nonetheless.
It's Well, I mean, here for me, I will say, I not so much in the past year just for health reasons, but I frequent comic conventions because I go there to sell books and stuff like that. So I've been to comic conventions and just seeing people of all kinds of different races, all kinds of different creeds, dressing up as fictional characters from all different kinds of cultures. Not just you don't go to a comic convention, it's not just a bunch of people into Marvel stuff. There's people into anime, there's people into some obscure shit in China or some weird I've seen people all over from all over the world, some of these really niche things. It's that's one of the reasons I actually really like going to comic.
I mean, hell, I order my coffee in Italian.
Yeah, there you
go.
What, at Dunkin' Donuts, Mike?
No, I got a Starbucks now. I dumped a Dunkin'. Sorry, Boston. Jeez. I'm a snob now. But yeah, I will say one thing. Starbucks goes in that category where it's things I love, but I hate their fan base. Every time I go in there, it's hipster central, and I feel so dirty just being in there.
What's that? The blonde? What's that drink called? Or that blend?
I've seen blonde coffee. I usually just get a frappuccino. So
I get that what's it called, macchiato?
Macchiato. Yeah. Yeah, those are pretty good. I usually like the fucking big the big like milkshake drinks like the Frappuccino. I got the frozen coffees at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, because Dunkin' Donuts stopped their colada shit.
Mm.
But it's like retarded now.
Right, like it's just not the same as the colada once was. The frozen coffee was great for a while, but then it kind of got a little too thick for me. I'm just like I can't do this. Like, and Starbucks like right where it's at right now. I'm trying to like keep like in focus of the camera, but it's like it. I think there's something with this thing where it's like it's a very different angle because it's like it's not really working straight. Like even when I zoom my phone, because like I use my phone when I was on my phone going from Josh's stream, it was the same way, and I always use my phone, so I know exactly where the angles are and all that shit when I'm doing videos. Mm-hmm. Conservatives love Starbucks, even if it's open liberal business. You know what? Like, I'm a capitalist. Like, of course I love Starbucks. Like, they piss off a lot of conservatives with, what was it? The whole Christmas thing? Like, they didn't have, like, Christmas cups or something. So, like, a bunch of people went in there to, like, make them, they said, because they write their name on the cup. So they're like, oh, you just say that your name is Merry Christmas. And like all the Christian conservatives like went in there and they thought they had a big victory. Like, oh, look, we got them to write Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. And it's like, yeah, you just gave them like fucking millions upon millions of dollars. Like,
yeah.
Good victory, guys.
Such a dumb
like when they burn those Nikes too.
So dumb.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna buy an American flag to burn it. It's like, well, don't you feel stupid?
American flag made in China too.
Oh yeah, right. But
so dumb.
Taiwan.
Yeah.
People are so retarded when they get they think they're gonna own somebody by like giving them a whole shitload of money, or like the people who are like, I'm mad at the NFL, so I'm gonna burn all of like my season tickets and stuff, and I'm like, you already fucking bought it. They don't care if you go or not. Like,
right.
Nobody cares if you go. They only care that they already have your money. Like, you did nothing. You did nothing for them. All you did was probably cost some vendors, like, $20 on hot dog sales. Like, nobody gives a shit.
All right. I think they're speaking different languages in the chat here. I don't know what a manga or a hentai.
Yeah,
manga is basically Japanese comic books.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
Hentai is pornography.
Oh yeah, the cartoon porn.
Yes. I
know
manga because I read mangas.
Oh no, I knew I was being a little bit funny, but
people are insane, and it's hard not to sadly hear about that all over the place.
Yeah. Way to blow my cover there, Scott.
Oh,
I'm trying to make the universe think I'm not a nerd, and I don't know what those words mean.
I've like,
I got an image to uphold here.
So. I go to comic book conventions. It's hard for me to like not be very open about being a nerd then.
Oh yeah, no, like and I like comic books, like, but I don't get into like all of it now. I'm a big video game person. Yeah. I like wrestling. Like that's pretty goddamn nerdy, I would say. But
well, that's what I always tell people because I've had people like give me shit about like comic books, and then they're like, like wearing jerseys of some football player and stuff, and I'm like, how is that any different than somebody dressing up as like green? Like it's the same thing.
I mean, fun is fun. Like that's the thing.
It's just like everybody's a nerd about something. Like everybody's a nerd about something. We have different things we get nerdy about. Like,
right. Like I'm a nerd of politics, and like people like, oh, I don't want to talk politics. I'm like, well, it's fun for me.
Exactly.
So you're just gonna have to deal with it. God damn it. But yeah, it's just like I don't even know where we're gonna go from that. We're talking about Pokemon and manga and hentai and who this got out of hand.
Yeah, I'm like reading a little bit of the chat here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, now we're talking about genetics.
Dude,
Chinese and Native Americans share a lot of genetics.
Goku's just last comment, that's awesome. I love it.
Why conservatives are so
Why
patriotic?
conservatives are so patriotic but drive Japanese car, wave Chinese-made flags, hire Mexican immigrants for their jobs, and buy PlayStations.
Because you know what? When it comes down to it, everyone's a capitalist.
Yeah.
Whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
They can fight it with every fiber of their being. But you know what? Like, they're still gonna act like a capitalist whenever real life things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I saw a great meme. You know that meme that's been going around? It's SpongeBob saying like, "I'm about to head out" or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Or I let me head out now, or I forget what it actually is, but it was what when hold on, let me try and bring this up. Maybe I can show it. I got it on my profile.
Just real quick, I wanted to say too, though, like about the everybody's a capitalist thing, is the whole you know, China is a very communist country, but then if you look at our like,
I mean, no, they're not really.
Yeah, they're communist, but I would say like they do have a capitalist economy.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, like
It's very totalitarian.
Yeah.
A leftist would say it's state capitalism, but I'm not going to go that far either.
Yeah, no,
You know?
they kind of like eased up their economy a little bit to be more capitalistic, and I think the best example of that is if you look at any of the top grossing movies from America, from Hollywood, it's always because of China. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna try and show this. It's probably gonna show backwards. Oh.
Yeah, pull it. There we go. Okay,
fuck this camera. But that's the meme. It says, when socialists are asked to contribute their own money to public good, and it says, alright, I'm about to head out, and it's like, dude, that's so true. It's like, you know, most of the socialists I know, like, they don't give a shit about charity. Like, when it's their turn to actually do the things about the things that they preach, they're the last ones to do it. And then it's like, it's all the greedy capitalist libertarians that are the ones donating to charities and causes and doing volunteerist actions.
I agree.
You know? So yeah, like everyone's a capitalist at heart, like,
for sure, whether they like it or not. Yeah. I've yet to see a liberal that rants against capitalism not gleefully partake in capitalism. Like,
yeah. Right.
It just I was like, you're not getting around it. You're partaking in it happily. You're benefiting from it in every possible way. And what you're more angry about isn't even capitalism. It's typically corporatism.
Right. Oh yeah, and there's a lot of protectionism. And you know, the one thing I do agree with the left on is, you know, the fact that they like, you know, some companies are so powerful, but they're so powerful because they make deals with government to, you know, give these all protections and, you know, basically crush out their competitors. And that's not, like you said, that's not really capitalism. That's corporatism.
Yep. Well, that's the thing is every time I hear somebody ranting against capitalism, and I'm always like, what is it you have against capitalism? And they tell me, I'm like, yeah, that's not capitalism, because the problems they always have is where it's intertwined with government. I'm like, that's not capitalism. No capitalist, no like proud capitalists I know wants that shit. They want the government as far away from that as possible. Like, but you know, nobody wants to listen to that.
Right.
Definitions, it doesn't matter to them.
Right, and it's like, as part of the Unholy Alliance, I'm just like, why don't we lessen government and not business? Because, you know what, like, all the government programs suck. Like, I'd rather go to Starbucks and, you know, Borders than the library. And, well, the government doesn't even take care of coffee, do they? That's how much they suck. They don't even deal with coffee.
I don't think so. Yeah.
No. Can't trust government to do the coffee. Fuck, are you mad?
Right.
I see.
We got a bunch of. All right, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna head out. What was I gonna say?
Fine.
We. Well, I mean,
Jason,
they kind of made it relative.
Jason hopped on for a second.
Jason.
Those last few messages weren't from me. Those were from Jason.
Oh, okay,
He's
okay.
at his concert right now.
I was trying to figure out what was going on. I was just
yeah.
I think that's what made me like stop talking, because I was like looking at these comments
I was
what's going on?
I was on a completely different app, and I gotta go back, and I'm like, I don't remember typing that. No. Jason hopped on for a second.
Goku asked what y'all think about Native American issues political wise. I'm not sure.
I have Cherokee and Blackfoot history. So like that's a lot to unpack for me. I think I typically it's they just get pushed to the side so much. Like it's completely forgotten about. It's also sad how little it like people are always talking about like something you rarely see from the liberals is Native American rights, which is I find kind of astonishing, because you think they would be far more for that. But it's weird. Like there's this weird thing when it comes to liberals versus conservatives, immigration, and Native Americans, where conservatives are all like, not like I'm going to use some generalizations here. So I know that
some hasty G fallacies.
Yeah, like I'm going to use a little bit of generalization here, but a lot of conservatives, and I know it's not anti-immigration, it's anti-illegal immigration, but I'm also like, we're all here because of some, we just showed up and was like, yeah, we're going to live here now, kind of shit, that's why we're all here right now. It wasn't no legal immigration of how America got started in the first place. But conservatives just don't fucking care about Native Americans, because it was like we kind of swooped in and took all their shit, and then we're like, yeah, we're fine with that. But then some other people try to show up, and we're like, no, that's not nice. And then liberals are all like pro-immigration, but then they're all like, we swept in and just slaughtered Native Americans, and I'm almost like, I don't know. There's just all this weird irony of how they believe about immigration, and then how little give both sides about Native Americans. And I've spoken to a lot of Native Americans. It's actually kind of sad how they just get pushed to the side and out by both of the major political parties.
Well, I mean, Elizabeth Warren is all for her people.
Elizabeth Warren.
She's all about the Native Americans. They love her.
She's only about the.
They love her, and she loves them.
She thought she was gonna benefit from that shit. Yeah.
Right. Oh my god. I kind of hope she wins the nomination just so we can hear Trump say Pocahontas 100 million times. That's just gonna be the whole debate. Shut up, Pocahontas. What do you want, Sacagawea? But yeah, actually, that's a good place to go into. Because now, I think next week I want to do more focus on the Democratic candidate race, because it is just such an interesting shit show, and Andrew Yang is still in the cards. He has made the second debate of the elite 10. I guess.
Didn't Tulsi get pushed?
He's the last on the list. He's on the bottom of the list. Huh?
Yeah, I haven't caught up on it. I think she, because people are pissed off because a bunch of Bernie and all these other people that kind of got the same treatment as her aren't giving a shit, and I'm like, yeah, if she's not in it, I really don't give a fuck about the Democrats anymore.
Right. Yeah, well, she's not in the third debate, but she's trying to qualify for the fourth debate still. And it's like she kind of
the quality. Yeah.
You're right. It's like she actually stood out big when she called out Kamala Harris like she did and called out Joe Biden like she did. Yang only got 3 minutes of talk time, and he made it back, and he's probably gonna get 2 more minutes of talk time so he can say his little freedom dividend bit. And good night, everyone.
He's like
I kind of like Yang.
Honestly, I know we've had this kind of thing, I know because I when it comes to the Democrats, I lean more towards Tulsi, and I know you're more towards Yang. I do say though, between the two, it's kind of surprising how little coverage Yang is actually getting, compared to some of the stuff.
he's got the underground presence. He's got
make as much sense as some of the stuff Tulsi says. But I'm like, why aren't people talking about that too? It just feels like this. I don't know. He's just getting brushed under the rug a lot.
Yeah, well, you know what? He's very present on social media. He's always on Twitter, Facebook. He knows how to market to the younger generation, much like Marianne Williamson does. But Marianne Williamson, doesn't have as good of a following. Besides, who is it that really likes Mary? I mean, I know they don't really like her, but it's unironic. Didn't what's his name from our page donate to her?
Sorry, which?
I think it was Matt.
Matthew Johnson.
Yeah. I think he donated to Marianne Williamson, hoping that she would continue.
Yeah.
I think he just did it as a joke, but I mean, Andrew Yang.
No, I would totally, if just real quick again, if they hold the next Democratic elections debates at a beach, I will full on donate to Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
Just to keep her in the just to keep her there. I'll tune in for that one. I'll make sure she's there.
All right. See, I'm in the camp I'm not really sure why Tulsi is I mean, I get the whole anti-war thing, but besides that, she's just kind of a stereotypical politician, I would say.
Oh yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
It's not just the anti-war thing. There's a couple other things here and there, but she's also hardcore anti-gun and some other stupid shit. And I'm just
and so is Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang is horrible on that shit.
And that's what I've said multiple times because I was yeah. When it comes to the Democrats, I praise her for speaking out again about some things that I feel like the Democrats need to hear. But in general, there's no fucking way I would ever vote for her.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm less worried about that because it's okay, we have our justices, and I'm not sure about how long Ginsburg has, but they're the ones that are going to decide anything like that. And I think if a Democrat comes in proposing big gun control, then they're going to harp on him even more and not allow it to happen and kind of cancel that out. So I'm not really too worried about the Democrats on the guns because they can only put it so far anyways. As far as Yang, popularity-wise, he knows how to reach the young crowd. I think he's centered. I want to say he's centered in New York, because I think he's centered in New York. So it's he has that big epicenter of people to start off from, media capital of the world. So he's got a good strong base by just having New York behind him, and the rest will follow. He's not by any means going to win. They're going to give us Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Sorry, Bernie Bros. Your hero will not save you.
You will not.
It's there's been a lot of and Scott will test this in the different political and groups that we're in. People are all about Bernie Sanders, and I'm
oh yeah,
why do you guys still like this guy? It's it's he's already rolled over once, basically kissed the Democrats' ass, and It's like the dude's like what,
Yeah,
87 years old, 90 years old. You got some things to say about Bernie Sanders there, Scott?
No, not. I mean, he's basically a waste. They should have learned from last time. Did you watch that video I sent you? Because
I
he talks
didn't.
about Andrew Yang in that one.
Oh, I did not actually
To
watch that yet.
attack him.
Yeah, I always like have so much stuff to watch to catch up on, but it's like I don't get it. It's like he's definitely the one that makes the least amount of sense out of anyone on that
Yeah.
stage, and that's really saying something from some of the
I
people.
don't know. Biden is getting Alzheimer's, and so he just makes no sense at all anymore.
You know what? I'm all for Biden. End the raves, end the ravers, lock them up, lock up all the techno people that don't exist anymore. But yeah, it's just like we're getting Biden or Kamala Harris because they're either going to go with Biden as he was vice president of Obama. Right. Well, just a woman, and yeah, it's like then you're going to fit both of them in there, and like it's going to be the same thing. Like Bernie's like, oh well, I support whoever is, and like he's probably not even going to get that much of a popularity bid as he did in 2016. Like, he had a good run in 2016. He, by all means, should have been the Democratic nominee. As much as I hate him.
Yeah, he should have been. I don't like him either, but he should have been. There's no doubt he should have been.
And anyone that was really heavily into Bernie, if, like, you still like the Democratic Party after what they did to him, like, I'm sorry, you're all fucking idiots, and you deserve fucking Joe Biden.
And Biden, like, oh my god, every time he speaks right now, like, I'm seriously, like, pretty sure he's, like, getting senile because, like, he keeps accidentally telling the truth too much. He's, like, having his gaffes where it's like, yeah, I don't think you know what you're actually saying. But real quick on Bernie, I want to say, because, like, I've been getting these ads pop up from Bernie, and, like I, avoid any kind of political speech, any kind of, like the plague. I hate them. I always look at the transcripts because I cannot stand to listen to any politician speak. It drives me crazy because they just always sound so incredibly fake. But every time I, like, hear Bernie Sanders talking, and I remember what his voice actually sounds like, Bernie Sanders' regular voice sounds like somebody doing a parody of him. It just doesn't sound like an actual person talking. Like, it just sounds like the most, what's the Curb Your Enthusiasm guy? I'm spaced on his name. You should know this.
No, I don't know.
David.
I've never seen that show.
He does an impression of Bernie Sanders, and it's, like, spot on. It's fucking hilarious. But, like his Bernie Sanders' real voice sounds like somebody doing an impression to make fun of him. Like, it just doesn't sound like a real person talk. Because I'd be, like, watching YouTube, and it comes on, and I'm like, I for a second, I'll be like, was this an SNL sketch or something? And I'm like, oh no, that's a Bernie Sanders ad. That's really him talking.
Yeah, I've been getting them on pretty much every YouTube thing, and it's like, I watch a lot of different things on YouTube, but, like, when it comes to politics, I, usually watch more right-wing oriented things. And it was funny because, there was a post made by my friend who was more left-wing, and, like, he's like, oh, I keep getting conservative and right-wing ads. And I'm like, that's funny because I keep getting Bernie Sanders ads.
Right? Bernie Sanders needs to stop popping up on my YouTube, all my YouTube videos, and go back to yelling at the Muppets.
You know what? I'm completely okay with it because you know what? YouTube's a real hero in that situation because they're basically like, these politicians are going to give us ad money, and you know what? Fuck them. We're going to advertise them to the opposite side so it just gets wasted.
It's the best part too, is because, like, every video I don't watch a single video that even remotely supports Bernie Sanders, and his ads pop up on there. I've even watched things that, like, we're pretty kind of, like, against it, and his ads are still popping up there. So I was like, you're paying people to Like, you know, I'm skipping his ad right away. I'm not listening to a fucking thing he says, but then I'm going to the video that trashes him. I'm like, they'll take your money, dude. Go for it.
Right. It's like,
just keep putting it out there. They'll take their money. They don't care.
oh yeah, but like if they are doing that on purpose, and that is the reason, they're just like basically like, fuck these politicians. We're just gonna send it to the wrong people, like just to fuck with them. Like, bravo, YouTube, bravo. Well, I think we should probably wrap this up before this gets too long of a stream. I'm trying to, keep it under an hour and a half. So,
we've been talking for a while.
We have. We got any final thoughts on anything we've been talking about tonight?
I'm trying to. I just now got YouTube back up, so I'm like, sorry. Goku just commented, Scott talks too much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I couldn't get him shut up to scream.
No, thanks for having me on. That's all I want to say. It was a good time.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say except for well, let me let Scott get his final word before I close it out.
I don't know. Didn't we even I don't have anything.
All right, man.
No, I mean, yeah, no, I'm okay.
Okay.
Going to do a line of cocaine before bed. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the closing thought, if you want my closing thought, go watch the last closing thought of the stream, because it's the same exact thing.
All right. Well, you heard him. His closing thought is to watch my former video. So, give me some more views with that. And, I don't really have anything closing because I think we talked about a little bit of everything here, and we kind of went a little bit everywhere. But I want to talk about next week. I want to direct it more towards the upcoming Democrat debate and basically the election itself, because the third debate is upcoming, and I want to get a full episode to focus on that. And we're going to have a lot of other topics. We're going to hopefully get some, more philosophy and even theology in here. So, don't miss that. And we're going to be trying to get back to this on, a weekly basis. So stay tuned.
All right.
All right.